So, doing yet another review. This time we are making a comparison more or less. So, back in the spring, I called The Fate of Inamorta Legacy, a book in Wattpad written by Nightwish, to be a to be pretty darn good fanfiction, especially with stick war content out here. Well, I wasn't part of the stick war Discord server like I am now. I joined it in the summer. And so I didn't have the knowledge I have about what kind of fanfiction exists there. I just kind of thought, um, this might be the only one I can take seriously, more or less. And just otherwise, just the bar was really low when I was reviewing that book, and the review itself is very dated, even under a year. Also, I think I owe a public apology for the take I presented on Clockwork Your Time is Up. Please accept my apologies. Then, after joining to the Discord server, I thought the fanfiction content on the fanfiction blog was all right, and yeah, I think I find there lots of good content. And if you haven't joined to the Discord server, and you are a stick war fan, you probably should. But more like, if you think there is no stick war fanfiction, good fanfiction out there, you are wrong. But enough about that. Let's move on to the subject of this video. Fate of Inamorta, written by IIAV. The better Fate of Inamorta. So I brought Nightwish up because I think that review really needs an re-evaluation, and I think this video could be the re-evaluation and also a review for IIAV's first Fate of Inamorta book. So let's begin. So the Fate of Inamorta by IIAV is a tetralogy of books centered around it's the story of Inamorta once again, but this time we don't have. It's almost completely centered around OCs. Like Atreus is there, but he's the only official character from the lore, aside from Queen Medusa, of course, and the rest of them are just completely original characters by the author, at least to my knowledge. And so we already have a very different setup for the story compared to Arthur Nightwish. And I'm going to make a lot of comparisons here, so keep that in mind. So, I wasn't first completely fond of the book, but that was because self-esteem issues, and also because I really didn't pay attention to the story at all. I was just reading through it, and because of its three main plot lines, the first book revolves around. I had very little clue what was actually going on, and that kind of ruined my experience. But so, after finding out a thread in the Writer Bros server in Discord, and where more like the chief of the whole place, Sam, made a chain where he himself made a chapter by chapter review of IIAV's Fate of Inamorta, and that got me pretty curious, because the focus on the writing itself, how the story is presented in its writing, how the plot moves forward, that got me pretty interested once again to the book, and especially when Sam himself called it a classic. And I thought, what the fuck is this? Have I done something wrong? And then, well, guess what? I restarted reading the first book, and I'm glad I did. Not because I fell in love with the first book, but more like so the second book can happen, which I still haven't read completely. But I still think it is pretty darn good. But the first book, we have a pretty quick setup for our main duo. David Neer, I had to do the joke, and then Chesler. So, David Neer and Chesler are teens. David Neer's father. Oh, okay, I stop. David and Chesler live with David's father and his family, and we are set up to a scenario where the king of the Order Empire in this story is about to embark on a great adventure with his ship. David and Chesler obviously want to go and see that, but suddenly an attack occurs. Because of the fast pacing of the first chapters, and I wasn't completely paying attention during my first read, I thought, nah, this is really shit. I don't know what the hell is going on. But then again, when I knew what to expect, I paid lot more attention to the story itself. It became a lot clearer what is happening. So an attack occurs, and then Chesler and David make a plan that was it Chesler who went to warn the king, and then David goes to blow out the horn, which our enemies try to destroy, so the town guard cannot be alerted. So David alerts the guards, and Chesler warns the king. We are set up to a secondary character, Valenta, and of course the king itself. I'm gonna call it from now on because it's actually a reader sexual character. Let's call it that. It's not the correct term, but you know what I mean. You get to choose the monarch's gender and also its name. So there you go. I'm gonna call the monarch by it. Moving on, fast forward, because aside from the fast pacing and the beginning, the setup is pretty good. It doesn't throw too much information at us, and I otherwise think it is alright. The book itself gets pretty repetitive after this point. So, I really don't have much to praise here. But then again, I see and understand why the book one is the way it is, and why this battle is so important. But I still think the pacing, even despite it being pretty fast, it could have used little more character moments. But even if you are going to ask me what kind of moments, I really wouldn't know how would you integrate them, because they will be expanded in book 2. So take this criticism as a grain of salt. The rest of the book is pretty much David Chesler, General Valenta, with the help of her friend General Antiria, who are from a tribe far away from the Order Empire's dominion, and of course the monarch himself, fighting against our new enemies and the forces of the Crimson Spearton. So David and Chesler gets will you call out? The two, despite haven't had any military experience, they only warned the king and alerted the guards. They unintentionally join into the fight. Then they get dragged along to the war. Pretty much, it's pretty much David's choice to join the army because, well, after his father's death, which is going to happen in the story, okay. After his father's death, he doesn't really have anywhere else to go. Also, it is revealed that his father was a great soldier of the Order Empire, one of the greatest soldiers of the Order Empire. And so he decided, I don't exactly remember how it went. Was it that he himself wanted to join to the army after this attack? And then Chesler kind of just along for the ride. Second wheelchair there, or was it that he didn't even want to join there? I don't even remember. Forgive me. Nevertheless, the Battle of the Order Empire's capital ends up being a disaster for pretty much everyone except for our antagonists and Westwind, who will appear later in the story. David and Chesler gets dragged to the Order's army, and General Valenta, being one of the most important players of the Order Empire, gets powered by the user control of this universe. Then she gets captured by the Crimson Spear, and our main villain, this book's main villain, I mean. The Order Empire's capital gets in ruins. Westwind comes and bails them out, and Westwind apparently in this universe it's its own independent, more democratic-like state, which, all right, I see it. Okay, it's fine world building. And then after the beautiful shot of David and Chesler just looking at the crumbled city of Order while they are preparing to the future, move on to the epilogue of the story, which is all about Valenta and where she's being pulled after her defeat. And this is yet another such a perfect example of how to use atmosphere effectively. Book 2 did it even better, I think, but still, this is just such a great overture for what we have. The Crimson Spittin tries to interrogate Valenta for how did the Order Empire manage to call out the Westwind troops when needed, and all that. Valenta herself, of course, does not reply until somewhat familiar figure rises from the shadows, who speaks like a snake and is drawn to look pretty much like Medusa. She even has snakes on her hair. Who knows? And that's the end of The Fate of Inamorta Book 1 by IIAV. But hey, I've been speaking a lot about this story being a great setup story. This book being a great setup story for the rest of the saga. So why not just substantiate what I have to say? So I'm going to analyze all the important characters of the story. Then, well, I made a synopsis already there. So it's going to be just the character analysis. Then I'm going to make sort of my own evaluation for the artwork the story has. The book has. And then ending thoughts. And then we will move on to book 2 when I have read the whole thing. And then made the review itself. Alright, so let's begin with David, Near, and Chesler. As stated before, David and Chesler are very poor people. Chesler lives without a father, but David's father acts like a father also for Chesler. But then, when David's father dies and the two boys get dragged into war, I already praised the scene in the end of chapter 8, and it is just so beautiful. It's these two characters representing who they are and also what they mean to each other. David has pretty much pulled the two boys into the Order army because of his own actions, and just because he chose so. And he feels guilt over dragging Chesler with him, not even thinking that Chesler is not even an adult himself. But Chesler, having his only source of guidance being David, the two share their own comfort to each other. accompanied by the art, which shows them looking at the capital of the Order Empire. And also yet another thing. Chesler is shown to be somewhat of genius who he really isn't, who he really shouldn't be. When they find Anterior's corpse, Chesler, out of sheer intuition, not even knowing what he's doing, performs a ritual. Valenta does, because those Valenta and Anterior were from a tribe far away from the Order capital, and Chesler, out of nowhere, just knows what to do and how to do it. Something that will be expanded upon in book 2. But that's what I'm speaking of. But yeah, we don't get that much character for David other than just the final scene, which I think really works. But those two, they are fine, and I think they are pretty good protagonists. And the atmosphere of this book, the last 2 chapters especially, really complements those two. Now, having discussed our main characters, also I forgot to mention that I haven't spoken about the prologue of the story or the lore. I kind of left it out because I don't think it's that much of an important stuff other than just setting up some lore we need to the later parts of the book. But then again, I think chapter 1 already did it pretty well, and it already gives everything you pretty much need to read this tetralogy. Having discussed our protagonists, let's talk about our main antagonist of book 1, the Crimson Spearton, and what he does in the story, and also a little bit more about the fight scene with him and Valenta. So the Crimson Spearton doesn't, in this story, in the book 1, he doesn't yet have a lot of character in himself other than just being the basic I am evil and I'm doing evil things. That's pretty much it. But that's all we need at this point. And also, he is not the main villain after all, and he is kind of a pawn. And of course, I think the story throws lots of subtle hints who the Crimson Spearton actually is. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't know it yet, but even then I am not sure is my guess correct, because it may not be. So I'm not gonna tell it yet, but I have a very, very strong sense who he actually might be. But back on track. The Crimson Spearton is pretty good villain, but as a character, he's just a plot device. But I think he's pretty solid plot device is that he does what he needs. He leads a successful attack at the Order's capital. Also defeats General Valenta in a pretty pace-breaking battle, I think. Like the battle, I think, in the written format, describing the fight choreography and just going into detail of what kind of maneuvers your combatants are pulling, I think that may not be the right way to do it. It's more like describing the style those two combatants used to fight, or just keep the fight short, because in real life, sword fights are really short. It's more like the rule of cool in TV and all that. That's sword fights are these 5 minutes epic duels which will last forever and all. Yeah, but I don't think you should go for the rule of cool when writing. But this book did. And I think it didn't work, but at the same time, it kind of worked because it sets up the user in the story. In Stigwell Legacy, we obviously have the user control, even in Stigwell 3. And the user control stuff gets back on. But the user is deemed more like a god. It's more like a source of power. Only the ones who are deemed worthy of it get it. They get healed by the user, they get strengthened by the user, and then, that was it. Still, something really powerful, and it helps Valanta to fight off against the Crimson Spirit, but she still loses. Then, the Crimson Spirit obviously takes Valanta as a prisoner, because plot, because contrivance. Okay, that's more of a book 2 problem, but still I'm gonna criticize that Valanta staying alive, I think, is pretty bad contrivance. But that's it for that bit. All in all, we have a pretty solid antagonist who gets stuff done, succeeds in what he's going to do, and also he's actually a threat to be taken seriously, because as stated before, he succeeds in what he's doing, and he is seemingly strategic genius. Also, it's strategic maneuver that they don't occupy the entire Order capital despite them having the force to do so. Of course, Westwind would have come and bailed them out, but still, it's something unexpected, to say the least. Also, then we have our secondary characters, Valanta the King, some side characters which are swayed out of the way. Also, now I think it's pretty good chance to give my own thoughts I've written on Discord about the story, about from chapters 4 to 7, I remember. There we go into a little bit more in depth what I think of the story, but still, I'm gonna tell my most important points in this video, and just otherwise something that comes to mind, or something I have changed my opinion on. But about General Valenta, I've already discussed in many instances. I think she's okay. I have a strong temptation to call her a Marisu, but that really is not fair, because she ends up losing the fight against the Crimson Spirit, and she's not perfect. She doesn't win at everything, but just the caricature of her really speaks of something like that, and especially in book 2 we're gonna get that it's always plot contrivance which is on her side, I mean. Then we have her friend Antilia. I think those two's relationship was alright, built up in pretty natural way. We can see them be friends, not always following the formalities. And well, I don't have anything else to say about them, really. They have very little screen time, but they are good for what they have. And then the king, who really is not a character. Again, I don't have a lot to say about them. Nor do I really have to say a lot to say about the language used in the story. It's just, I really don't have much to say about Book 1 of Fate of Inamorta, aside from its main characters and its antagonist. Before the entire final evaluation, I'll talk about the artwork, which at face value you can criticize it for being bad, but at the same time, when I think as a content creator myself, when I use models which already exist, I use pictures that already have been made by someone else, I really don't have any right to really criticize them. And besides that, they get the job done. They show you what you need to know. And especially the maps of Inamorta, they are pretty good, pretty decent. They get the job done, and I quite like them. They are really fine additions to the story itself. However, the final picture with Medusa, I quite like it. Let's just say that. I quite like it. But having the artwork set, some simple opinions, not really much anything special. It's at the same time, it ain't anything special given to what the artwork is, but it has, for example, the maps, which do wonders for the story. And for now, the final evaluation. I should have thought this more through. 6.5 out of 10. I really don't like this book. I really don't like the first book of Fate of Inamorta. But after reading book 2 and having book 3 on the way, it is just baffling to say that, yeah, I don't like this book. And just to say that this book is bad. Because this book did exactly what it had to do, and it carried the burden of being the first one of the bunch. So, before you can do anything special, really, you have to sell the story you have to sell the story for the people who read it. And that is where the story was incredibly successful. 6.5 out of 10 is good. I think. Now having the final evaluation of book 1, not my cup of tea, but at the same time, it carried the burden of being the first book. And also, as a first book of a whole tetralogy, it did pretty good. It's as that one, it is pretty good, but as a standalone book, which is an unfair comparison, mind you, I really didn't like it. But hey, what about the revaluation of Nightwish's Fate of Inamorta? Now, I'm still gonna give it the same grades I used to give. But at the same time, there's just so much shit, which I just can't look it past my fingers like that, like I did back in spring. So, it has respect for the source material. I think Atreus was alright. And the final battle, while being just dumb fun, it is still fun, despite being really contrived and cheap. Aside from that, I really don't know what can I praise about it, because all of it is just stuff happening, and then happening this, and then this. And it really does not help that the story has even worse identity crisis back when I did, when I was 10. It is just stuff happening without any connective tissue. It has massive time skips, and the fucking redemption of Adekai. It is just, well, he's no longer Marokai, he's in flesh now, so that must mean he's okay. And the story really just says that, yeah, the world wronged him. That means he can be redeemed without any other attempts of it. He's just fine. The world treated him unfairly. That means he's gotta be fine when he's no longer Marokai, but now Adekai once again. Like, shit. The most Jeff the Killer type of redemption. Besides that, I really have to walk my words back when I presented those words I presented back in spring. It just baffles me how much I just gave the story a pass, because I liked it, But it has so much dumb stuff going on that I just can't forgive it too much. Anyhow, bye bye.